and welcome to my new video. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Lex and this is Lost Falls, and today I'm going to be doing a basics for natural waterfalls. And please enjoy the music because the entire video for me was this. You can let me know if it was worth it. This is an example of my style when it comes to water terraforming. I do go for a very natural vibe like you'd find in a forest or something. So yeah, today I'm going to try to show you some of the easier ways to achieve this very natural look without using any complex terraforming. I'll do it all in real time so it's easier to track. And yeah, I hope this is helpful. Let's get started. I've chosen my usual empty field to show you how I terraform waterfalls, and the most important thing about terraforming waterfalls is setting up this first cliff layer. It's the foundation for your waterfall and it determines how much space you have to work with. Do you need to leave space for trees? Do you have enough room for the objects, furniture, plants you want to place? You have to think about all this now when you are making the bottom cliff layer. So the first waterfall I'll show you is going to be 2 tiers, and this base is 6 by 5 cliff blocks. It's 5 blocks wide, and that means I can only do up to 4 by 3 for the second cliff tier, which limits how much of a waterfall I can have, because you need to have cliff on either side of a block that you break for water. So I'll show you what the potential is here, and then I'll go into maybe a slightly more elaborate and natural design. But I want to show you that you don't have to have a huge second cliff tier in order to make it feel more natural. So here I'm just going to show you the bare minimum for a 2-tier waterfall, literally just 2 blocks of waterfall. You can make it more natural appearing if you just round the edges of the cliffs by hitting them once with the cliff tool. But this is what it's going to look like if you just have a very small space for a 2-tiered waterfall. Now I'll go ahead and add some more base so that we can explore what you can do with a larger space for the second tier. So now I'm going to expand my second tier, and you might have noticed that the original second tier that I made was only 3 by 3 blocks, even though I had made a base large enough for 4 by 3 blocks. I'm going to go ahead and expand that 4th row now. I put enough room so that I could have 4 blocks long on the second tier cliff so that I could fit a tree as well as water, so that there could be a tree behind the waterfall, because you need a 3 by 3 square of uninterrupted cliff in order to place a tree. You can't have water breaking into that cliff, although the cliff can be rounded. For this waterfall, we're going to try to make it a little bit more dynamic by making it a bit wider and then curving the cliff on either side so that the waterfall itself stands out. So I'll show you what I mean. So just this easily, you've managed to create a more dynamic waterfall. and you can go ahead and make the bottom waterfall as well. You can see with the second tier, just by curving this land, the waterfall feels so much more dynamic, and it's not that hard to do, and it also gives you more space on the first cliff level for furniture, plants, shrubs. And like I said, with the extra row in the back, I can fit a tree behind the waterfall as well, which also helps your waterfalls feel more natural, because there's not much for the eye to look at if your waterfall is just flat land at the top. Trees add height to your terraforming. A simple way to make any terraforming you do look even more refined is just to round the edges. So I'm going to show you what this looks like with all the edges rounded as well. Now I'm going to fill up these waterfalls so I can show you a different waterfall style that you can try on the second tier. This is just like what I did at Marshall's house. I'm going to break the blocks on the edge to create these waterfalls, and then I'm going to hit the block between them so that it creates a curved shape, because that looks more natural than a rigid corner. So in order to achieve this, you just have to hit that corner square last. So you can see I've created the bottom waterfall tier as well now, and if you want another way to just make your waterfalls more natural, make them staggered like this instead of it being perfectly fitting between the top tier and the bottom tier. Give the bottom tier a little more waterfall, or the top tier, and that'll make it seem less even and more organic. Also notice how I broke and curved that top cliff tier a little bit. That just made it seem more uneven, just like I did with the waterfall. So now I'm boarding this up so I can show you a different style of waterfall. I tend to lean towards sourceless waterfalls, which bothers some people. So now I'll show you like a more winding river that you can fit into this small space. Here I'm going to use my usual techniques in order to make the river look more natural and curvy. I did make a tutorial for that as well. I'll link it in the description if you're interested in just working on your rivers, not necessarily on waterfalls. So now you can see I've made a sort of snaking river on top of the cliff, and if I were to put this on my island, I would add more land on the right in order to add trees and stuff to enhance the depth of this waterfall. But yeah, this is how you can do different things to make your waterfall stand out. I'll show you really quickly that adding a tree up on the second cliff tier the way the river looks now is very achievable and pretty simple to execute if you just build a little bit more for your base cliff. So I know that the tree will fit here because I have the 3x3 uninterrupted square of cliffs, and as you can see I did around the bottom right corner of that, so it is completely okay to put a tree on a cliff that has been rounded. Your decor will obviously be influenced by whatever theme or style you tend to go for, but I think this cliff does look a lot better with the tree added. It just has so much more height. So I'm going to go ahead and board all of this up and tear these cliffs down so that we can start from scratch again, because I've kind of been building off of my original like 6x5 block that I had of cliff. So now I'm going to start again and just show you another way to make natural looking waterfalls. So far, all of the waterfalls I've covered have been 2-tier, and that means that by nature they're going to take up more space. So now I'm going to show you a natural looking 1-tiered waterfall that just takes one level of cliffs and is going to take up less space on your island if you just have some small area that you want to fill and make look natural. So this is literally 4 blocks wide and 3 blocks long, and I can go ahead and add a tree, and if I wanted to, on the opposite edge from the tree, so on the far right side, I could go ahead and put a waterfall because it wouldn't disrupt the tree. I'm going to add a little bit more land so that you can see what's achievable with just one more column of cliffs. It's going to be 5x3. For this one, I'm also going to add some water on the ground so that you can get an idea of like what a small pond might look like here. And I'm going to use my signature curved skinny waterfall for the cliff. So I'm just going to curve the little pond at the base around from the front to the side. And remember, you can always make the water that's on the ground a little bit like smaller in area if you don't have a lot of space. I just have all of this free space, so I was able to be a little bit flexible. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make this waterfall, and it was that simple. You can imagine it with decor like shrubs and log stakes and custom designs, how cute it would look. And you can continue editing it even after you've got your basic shape. Like here, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller on the ground, a little bit more curved. So here's the final product, very small and compact, but the tree gives it height, and it's just a perfect way to fill up some small space on your island. Also, I just wanted to say thank you all so much, because last week I was inducted into the YouTube Partner Program, and it's because of you all that I've made it here so quickly, and I just really appreciate your continued support. I hope this tutorial was helpful in that water terraforming isn't as intimidating as it maybe was before. I think it can be pretty fun once you get the hang of it. Without further ado, here is my little sister, Peaches.
I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video, but first, I wanted to say, I love you guys so much!